Moon gang. Hello. Apes, I hope you had an absolutely fantastic weekend. Hello. Welcome. Monday, September 27th, and kind of actually very interesting developments over the weekend. I felt a little bit out of the loop, if I'm being honest. I wasn't really on technology over the weekend, and then I come back, and some of the things that I'm reading and seeing going on that is like clearly impactful on the ape community. Whoa. Everyone went full oh brother on me over the weekend, and we're just seeing some crazy things. And really what I'm like, there's a couple things going on, but the main thing I'm referring to is I was diving into some of the legal happenings and developments related to Robinhood and all of that stuff. Seems absolutely ridiculous. BBIG, couple things. BBIG, I see what this is doing. We have some things to talk about here as well. We have a lot to talk about before the market gets going. So with all that being said, apes, I hope you had an absolutely phenomenal weekend. I hope you're got some rest, relaxation, ready to go for really the final couple trading days here in September. But let's hop right into it, because like I said, we do have quite a few things to go over. So just highest level thing, Wall Street looks under pressure with just days left in September. So a lot of this, it's kind of the exact same thing now we've been talking about for 2 weeks. So we have seasonal weakness till the remainder of September, a little bit at the start of October, and then from there till the end of the year, pretty much bullish from a seasonal standpoint. But this particular September, there are other various things going on. Within the U.S., we have obviously always political gridlock. Like, can you even talk about the United States without political gridlock? Anyway, debt ceiling, keep your eye on that. Previously, the tensions related to the real estate company over in China, Evergrande, those are easing up. So that's kind of okay. Like, it's not okay. Like, there's still debt that has to be paid, a lot of money that has to be paid. In fact, I think in 2 days, I think the 29th, there's another payment that's due. So we could keep our eyes on that, but I think it's calming down. And then also the FOMC stuff related to the Federal Reserve, that stuff's also calming down a little bit. So I think right now we have seasonality and also the debt ceiling stuff going on, pushing it. But just remember, seasonally, we are still weak till the end of September, start of October, and then from there till the end of the year, pretty bullish. Our treasury yield jumps ahead, a busy week for Fed's Powell. That's not too impactful, like at least for us in the ape nation right now. I mean, we've already talked about it. Votes coming in, infrastructure, debt ceiling, federal funding. So this is actually what I was just referring to. And I think we are getting a vote pretty soon, because they have to have something up and ready to go by September 30th. I'm not seeing a date right here. Investors will be watching Congress this week as lawmakers attempt to pass the funding in time to avert a government shutdown on Friday, the debt ceiling. So basically, game times this week for the government. They have up till Friday. They have to get rocking today, tomorrow, the next day. They have to get something passed. So keep your eyes on that. That will have an impact on the overall market, and the overall market obviously trickles down to our individual stocks. Tesla CEO Musk praises China for a second time this month. Obviously, he's trying to play nice. He knows that China not only being a massive market, but they also have an abnormal appetite for EV vehicles. Tesla being the biggest EV company in the entire world, one of the biggest companies just straight out in the entire world. He's trying to play nice, business move. Google cuts cloud commissions. Facebook delays Instagram Kids. I was looking a little bit more into this Instagram Kids thing. I guess my thought from it is what? Why? Whoever thought this was a good idea? Facebook announced Monday morning it's pausing its work on Instagram for Kids after facing a slew of backlash from users and lawmakers. While we believe building Instagram Kids is the right thing to do, Instagram and its parent company Facebook will reevaluate the project at a later date. The company said in a statement that Kids app was supposed to allow children under 13 to access a new version of photo sharing social media service. I've heard a lot of stupid things. I've heard many stupid things in my life. And this is probably one of the dumbest things, that they were trying to build an Instagram for kids, children under 13. Talk about just a dumbass, half-baked idea. I hope this later date is just like whatever public relations jargon for saying, oh, no, we realize how stupid that is, and we will make sure to like never ever make sure like this should not be seeing the light of day. But anyway, that's just kind of like some broad stuff that's going on. Let's talk more specifically about some of the interesting developments. And just so you know, this, if you want to read it in detail, I did post it to Twitter. At least I think I posted it to Twitter. Yeah, I posted it here. So if you want all the information to read it yourself, but some cool stuff coming in. Here's what Robinhood executives allegedly said internally at the height of the GameStop short squeeze. So about 2 days ago, there were some public releases of what's going on in one of the current cases against Robinhood. Just so you know, I say one because there are various federal and state level cases, but definitely some interesting developments. New documents revealed in a lawsuit allegedly shows internal conversations between executives during the height of January's meme stock chaos. In one instance, Robinhood Chief Operating Officer Gretchen Howard acknowledges that the startup was facing a major liquidity crisis, which is very interesting. You're about to find out. According to the suit publicly right here, the company's chief executive was saying the opposite. So you had Vlad Tenev, the boy from Bulgaria, going up, doing all this talks, being like, this isn't a problem, we have it under control, yada, yada, yada. But the chief operating officer internally was like, no, like shit's hitting the fan. So, to my, like, I'm no lawyer, I'm no financial advisor, I'm none of this. I'm just sharing my comments. That's it. But me, without having the legal advice, seems that it's pretty bad that publicly you're stating one thing and internally there's like just it's that meme with the dog and he's like, I'm fine and everything's on fire. Not a good situation. And this does pour over into, I would at least say, some interesting implications, allegations surrounding Citadel. This clearing thing seems pretty scary to me. I would say it's our biggest fire right now, Robinhood's director of engineering said in a Slack message, according to the lawsuit. So lots of great information in here. Actually, I haven't seen this video, so let's watch that. But some highlights I want to bring to your attention. According to the suit, in one instance, Robinhood Chief Operating Officer Gretchen messaged internally that the startup was facing a major liquidity crisis. Publicly, the company's chief executive said the opposite. There was no liquidity problem. CEO Vlad Tenev told CNBC's Andrew Ross Sorkin a day later on January 29th, which that would be the Friday of the week that things were going like insane. Other good stuff here. Robinhood and its higher-ups were well aware of this tidal wave of volume and volatility that was heading in their direction. This was according to the PESA Law Group. Most likely I'm pronouncing that incorrectly. My apologies if you're listening. In our opinion, as we allege in the lawsuit, they didn't do their jobs and what they are required to do in terms of analyzing risk and managing risks as a broker. I 100% agree. And maybe I don't know it from like a legal standpoint, but just for your duty as a broker, it should never get so bad that you're realizing a situation and then not allowing people to continue to buy. So remember with Robinhood and many other brokerages, it wasn't just Robinhood, but Robinhood has become kind of the symbol of what went wrong in January, February of earlier this year, especially related to GameStop, and later it also became strongly related to AMC. But they just stopped the buying. You could not buy shares. You could sell shares on these brokerages. And remember, other brokerages, you could still easily buy and sell whenever you wanted to. But it just so happened where a lot of retail traders were finding themselves, especially on applications and brokerages such as Robinhood, they did stop the purchasing. And that was for a while. And then after that, they started lighting it up like, oh, you can buy 1 share, you can buy 5 shares, you can buy 10 shares, that type of deal. But right here, like, that's their job. So just like from the higher level view, that was the service they were expected to provide, and they were not providing the service of their business. So right there, to me, that's a failure. In another message, the company acknowledged blowback from this is going to be exponentially worse as time goes on, and they were worried about the long-term effects of this. I agree. I think even this, like, it seems like someone there was speaking a little bit of truth of saying, hang on, like this is probably going to get really bad. I mean, look at our name. Does anyone know the mythological story of Robinhood? It seems like we're going against our own namesake here. And so this is accurate, but I think this is really even an underestimation of how much the damage is to their company. To me, I don't know, even if you have the most fancy smarty pants PR person out there, I just don't know how they're ever going to get away from this. I really don't, because now literally everyone is almost conditioned that whenever you say anything about Robinhood, you automatically think, oh, like screwing over its clients. I don't know how it gets better. I don't know. People hate them. I don't know how they ever walk this back and regain the public's trust. A little bit different. SEC Chairman Gary Gensler is expected to publish a report on the GameStop saga in the coming weeks, as well as recommendations on what, if any, changes should be made to the U.S. trading system as a result. So all this is pretty interesting, but I do find this, whenever it comes to specifically the report and SEC and Gary Gensler for this like one very specific thing, I do get a little bummed out, because the first time we heard about it, it keeps getting pushed back. They're like, we're going to get it to you. We're going to get it to you. We're going to get it to you. And then Gary Gensler was talking in front of the government, and they're like, hey, when's that coming? And he's like, oh, this GameStop report. I thought it was weird. I was like, why are you quoting it? Like, did you even put in an effort? And then right here, when they're doing the write-ups, as well as recommendations on what, if any, as if someone with a brainstem is looking at this and they're like, we don't even know if we need a fixing. They're like, there's a good chance that everything ran smoothly. Like, are you kidding me? So I don't know. I see a lot of like Gary Gensler himself, mainstream media, everyone's setting itself up in a certain sense of like, hang on, like maybe this is all fine. Like maybe there's nothing to fix here. Like, let's just like, are you kidding me? And from the get-go, well, really shout out to Keith Gill, but like after that, the entire ape community that was created, like from Keith Gill, then Reddit, and then it spread, and then you had this entire community. That entire group is the people that are like, no, something's not right. This is not how our market should be moving. And yet we're the dumb money. We don't know what's going on. How could we possibly understand anything about stock market plumbing? Well, the more and more that comes out, and you're going to see, like, really, to me, the interesting thing, at least I would imagine from the standpoint of, I guess, lawyers and our government and all of that, is the discussions that we're seeing between Gretchen, Howard, and Vlad, and then they're talking to some people over at Citadel talking about how there is liquidity problems. Like, this does not seem good. Like, this is what, round like 18 of an awful PR nightmare for them. Interesting. Before we watch this video, I haven't seen this video. It might be interesting, but one thing I have to let you know is right here, Cathie Wood buys another 6.5 million in Robinhood. Also, Robinhood reports partial outage for cryptocurrency trading on its platform. Anyway, so just more Robinhood stuff. I'm kind of bummed out. I like Cathie Wood. I really do. I think she's an innovator. I think she's done some amazing things. And I find it, I don't know, bothersome that, like, well, first of all, just even from an investment standpoint, I don't know why she would be getting in Robinhood, even from like a fundamental thing. I'm like, what are you looking at that makes you want to get into it? But then also just more of the public appeal of just the optics of it. So I just want to let you know, I do find it bothersome. I guess I was or am, I don't know. I'm working through some of my own emotions on how I feel about Cathie Wood at this point in time. I don't know. I just wish she was never buying Robinhood. That would make my own emotional standpoint on this way easier. But let's check out what this video is about. Maybe there's something cool in it. Let me make sure the audio is up for all of you.
Hey, John, this lawsuit gives a new look inside the room, or at least the chat rooms over at Robinhood during the GameStop short squeeze. These internal conversations from back in January show debates over how bad it could get, some panic over capital requirements, and a direct contradiction of what Robinhood CEO told CNBC's Andrew Ross Sorkin at the time. On January 28th, the company's COO messaged internally that Robinhood, quote, had a major liquidity issue. CEO Vlad Tenev, meanwhile, denied that in an interview with Andrew. That week, though, Robinhood did move to change stocks like GameStop and AMC to what they call position close only, meaning that people could sell, but they couldn't buy. In response to that decision, another executive says, we're going to get crucified for those restrictions. It's a, quote, horrible look, they say, for the wider brokerage industry. And meanwhile, the COO of Robinhood Financial, that's a subsidiary of Robinhood, saying that the company was, quote, too big for them to actually shut us down. He's referring there to its clearing agency. And in another conversation with CEO Vlad Tenev, they talk about implementing something called Code Yellow. An engineer says that maybe we should consider an all-hands-on-deck situation. Tenev seems to agree and says, quote, only the paranoid survive. All of this, guys, came out as part of discovery in a class action lawsuit. The plaintiff's lawyer argues that Robinhood didn't do enough to protect investors and, quote, kept its doors open, unbeknownst to the general public, while it was teetering on the verge of collapse. And in response, Robinhood says, we dispute the plaintiff's allegations. The communications are consistent with Robinhood's focus to take appropriate incremental measures to mitigate risk. Guys, back to you.
To me, this sounds like a code red, Kate. I guess my question is, obviously, the company has changed quite a bit since they had this moment of crisis about 9 months ago. But do these interactions, do those messages reveal persistent problems that could still be at the company today?
So that's what the lawyers argue. Well, it is sort of a look at this one-time event. They called it a Four Sigma event at the time. And the company has argued that there's nothing that they could have done. This was unforeseen and that all of the measures they had in place were appropriate and the problem was solved. The lawyers, meanwhile, say that some of the conversations show that the executives here knew this was coming. They called it a tidal wave of volatility and said that there wasn't enough attention paid. And they, meanwhile, were focused more on things like the Super Bowl ad, marketing, and adding new users. So a difference of opinion there, but it's interesting. We had Bob Pisani reporting this week on Gary Gensler coming out with a report on this entire saga. People have been waiting for that for months. And I'm told that the SEC and FINRA also have access to these documents. So it'll be interesting to see if there's anything in there that actually comes out in a follow-up report from Gary Gensler.
Oh, how do I cancel? All right. So very, very interesting. Does it drive, seriously, very, very honestly, does it drive anyone else insane? Like, maybe I need to talk to someone about this, but like, I get so absurdly irate when I just see how fickle this is. So CNBC and Jim Cramer are very much associated together through whatever legal, and also just like they get along. They have a lot of business dealings together. So for a while there, it's just they're buddies. Like, I mean, we even saw like Sorkin, Cramer, and Vlad Tenev, like those guys, like they're all, I don't know, they're together. Like they like each other. They support each other. It's like, this is great. This is one of the biggest innovators of our time, democratizing finance. Awesome. Buddy. And then it's just so fickle. And I know a lot of you listening right now, you're like, duh, Matt. Like, that's what media is. You're going to be fickle. You're going to chase whatever the public is perceived to like at that time. And there's like no backbone to either standing with it or like not standing with it and attacking. Like, it's, unfortunately, it seems like we have a lot more cronyism going on than journalism, I guess is my point. And I hate it though, because it's always pitched to us as if it's not cronyism. Like, no, this is just like what we do. But like, you can tell, like, how long has Cramer been like, no, like Robinhood's a buy. I like Robinhood. It's like, dude, what are you doing, man? Like, I just don't get it. It drives me up a freaking wall that it really is cronyism over journalism. There is in my opinion, a big vacuum of journalistic integrity of what's going on, because they're always looking at themselves as like, all right, who's our sponsors? Like, do I have a piece of the IPO? And it's very, very unfortunate that maybe there's various people out there who started their career with the intentions of like, I want to spread the truth as efficiently and as well articulated as I possibly can. And then whatever, time goes on, things develop, you make friends with the right people. And all of a sudden, it's like you see your bank account getting fatter, but you don't, I don't know, like then like all of a sudden your morals start to erode a little bit here, a little bit there. And I know some of you listening right now, like, what do you mean starting to erode? Like, I get it. I get that there's some people out there who already started in a very, very bad moral position and it just like has never improved. But it's just the fickle nature of all of it. It's like one day this is the best, greatest company ever. The very next day it's like, oh, no, this is a code red. Like, they should have never done this. Like, look at this. Like, we're on your side. We've been calling it from the start. It's like, I don't know. It's who do they think they're kidding? Like I don't know. That's what drives me up the wall. One of the many things. One of the many, many things. All right. So that's kind of what's going on with Robinhood. I know some people are messaging about BBIG. So before we get into AMC and GME and the overall market and that stuff, I do have some quick commentary on BBIG. BBIG. Okay. So right here, good shot. You're going to see some places reporting 260% on BBIG. BBIG is having a great morning. It's up 18%. You're going to see some news sources or data providers talking, I think, super, super high percentages. But I was already in contact. I think it was a short interest of 261%. You're going to see some. Unfortunately, it's not that high. The numbers aren't really adding up. I reached out to Ortex. I was like, can you explain to me like what's going on? This is directly from the founder and creator of Ortex in reference to BBIG. We are not able to confirm the idea that BBIG has a short interest of 260% of free float. In fact, we are quite confident that with a free float of 84 million shares, as we show, or 87 million shares as E-Trade is showing, the short interest is in the order of 21 million shares instead of like that 80 or relative to the 84 free float. So once again, short interest is in the order of 21 million shares or 25% of the free float at the end of Thursday. And our intraday data suggests that this has dropped on Friday, although we will get confirmation on Friday's confirmed figures shortly. From our data, the only way the short interest can be 260% of free float, they would be using a very different value of free float, or there's an error in their calculation. As a check, we know that for September 15th, the exchange reported short interest to be 21.3 million. 260% of free float would be around 220 million shares. So there would need to be an extra 200 million new shorts since September 15th. Last week, the entire trading volume was only 181 million. So that seems very unlikely. So once again, that is the update from Ortex trying to explain the number. It seems like this concept of the short interest being 260%, it seems like there's a data error that is being that's caused and being pushed out there from E-Trade. So is it 260%? High likelihood that the answer is no for BBIG. But with that being said, it is still a very high short interest. We're talking 26.1%. The shares on loan around 28.5 million. Utilization 96%. People we know are paying attention to BBIG, aka Vinco Ventures. So I just want to clarify where the numbers are at. But then even with the correction, even if you come in at the most conservative floor value possible, there's still a lot of potential upside and enough powder in this keg for an explosion on BBIG. I just want us to, I guess, live in the realm of is most likely what the correct numbers are, but that doesn't mean this isn't going to move. No, there's a good chance it can move, but some of the data that's being pushed out by E-Trade is a little bit incorrect, just so everyone knows. All right, now let's talk about some of the other things going on. Overall market, slight gap down today. Actually looks like it's gapping down by $1, the S&P 500. We have had this nice push over the past 5 days. So I'm going to look for this support at 441 basically and see how it reacts there. That's for the S&P 500. NASDAQ also gapping down. All the major indices are gapping down a little bit this morning. We have Q support at 369 and some change. Russell 2000. Oh, sorry. I didn't realize this had actually come up on the day. Russell 2000, hey, that's good for AMC. AMC, the biggest company in the Russell 2000, showing a little bit of pre-market strength, pre-opening strength. Let's see this push through at 224 and some change, and I want this push then after that to 226. In terms of AMC, so we closed out on Friday above 40.01. I like that. I want to see a continuation of 41.50. This is the high from September 21st. Right after that, that puts us in striking distance. In the very short term, my AMC goal is still this gap fill, 44.20. very, very easy. I'm just looking at the fall off from September 17th, just looking for this gap fill as a short term. I want to see that. I want to see the reaction, and obviously fingers crossed for a continuation past it. But I'm a fan of gap fill plays. AMC, even if it wasn't like the stock that we knew of, like the symbol of all this crazy movement, I would currently like the stock simply just for that gap fill, even if I didn't know any of the other insanity. Just so you know, in terms of support, there is support in the mid 37s, so we'll be watching that. More from a not really a fundamental, kind of related to the box office. Marvel's Shang-Chi has become the top grossing movie at the North American box office this year, bringing in 187 million according to ComScore. In second place is another Marvel movie blockbuster, Black Widow. So Black Widow actually being dethroned by Shang-Chi. A lot of people still watching movies, a lot of money flowing into the box office. That's a great thing. I'm getting this information from Morning Brew. If you don't know who Morning Brew is, it's a free morning newsletter where they just kind of give you a rundown of what's going on in the world. So it's nice that they were able to give us that box office update of what is and isn't happening. But wrap up, Shang-Chi dethroning Black Widow, top grossing movie at the North American box office this year. Lots of money, 187 million, lots of money coming into the movie theater. GME, we're up slightly in pre-market, so we have this support at 185-ish. The main support I've been watching is from 188 to 190. I would be looking for GME to recapture that, and then I want to see a push above the key psychological level at 200. We kind of have this, I don't know, in a certain way, this is not sometimes drawing with the wicks, it gets like really messy with this, but a little bit of a flag situation, a very, very ugly flag. I would just honestly just prefer that GME catch itself, push 200, and let's go battle up 212 to 215. Currently trading at 185, looking for it to catch itself very, very soon. But just so you know, it does have additional support at 178. Let's talk about these numbers. Going back for a second for AMC, because I forgot to cover this, they've already borrowed 439,000 shares against it today. That puts the short interest at 20.55%. The shares on loan is 113.5 million, and the utilization is 88%. In terms of GME, GameStop, they borrowed 17.5 thousand shares against it. The short interest is at 13.5%. Shares on loan, almost 8 million, 7.88 million, and the utilization is 35%. In terms of crypto, just so you know, we kind of got that bounce, but then with China once again reiterating that they're banning it, which we already know, it kind of got hit. So now they're a little bit sideways, a little bit up. So right now, crypto not doing a crazy amount, but worthwhile. I think it'll start trending soon. We actually had a nice bounce going, but all of it sold off on Friday when China, like I said, once again reiterated that they are in no way fans of it. The People's Bank of China, like PBOC, saying that all crypto transactions are illegal. The market didn't like it, but really it wasn't new news. I mean, it's the type of stuff that we have, literally they've already said that so many other times, but for whatever reason, the markets continue to react to the exact same announcement that we've already been hearing. But let's get ready. We have about a minute, about 70 seconds until the market gets going. Let's zoom in. I dropped it to the 1 minute chart. Let's get going. Let's see what this week. Hey, it's a Monday, folks. Let's have a great week. Great week. I see some people talking about ATR a little bit into market open. I'll go over that. It's just we're running low on time. A lot of news to go over this morning, but we'll check out ATR. I'll give you the Ortex. We'll go through that. I know I haven't gotten to any of these chats either, but I'll scroll back. I'll try to find them, write down any requests or anything of that nature, and we'll hit it hard today, folks. Let's go. We have about 30 seconds. All right, let me check one thing. Let's get rocking on the day. Rocking on the day. Hey. All right. We are looking good. Let's get the bell ready. Oh, I'm ready. I'm ready for the week. Moon Gang. This is our time to shine. This is what we were born for. This is what we practiced all year for. Ding, ding, ding. Dingity, ding, ding, ding. The casino is open. Let's do this thing.
Whoa, brother. Big super chat.
Whoa, brother. Let's get rocking. I like the Russell. Showing a little bit of strength there. All right. AMC above 40 already. It's at 40.30. GME at 187. Remember, we're watching that 188 to 190 level on GME. Another thing related to GME. This report needs to come out. I feel like we've been waiting on it forever. Like, I don't know what's going on there, but seems like it's been stalled, or I don't know what's going on there, but I would very much like for that to officially come out so we can get some info on what is or isn't going on. All right, so as the market's figuring out what it wants to do for the morning, let's do some of these. Matt, we talked last week about ATR. I did end up picking up 22,000 shares. Maybe I have 2 moon seats now. Any thoughts on the market open for ATER here? Let me just... Sorry, I missed this. ATER already up 5%. It's at 1350. That 1350 to 1370 level, that is a previous region where it stalled out. If it gets above 1370 and can hold here, I mean, you're potentially looking at the door of, let me just double check, like 15 plus. But look at this. We're swinging back around. You could draw a trend line on the top here, but both ATER and BBIG, they're flexing today. It feels like we're going to have a pretty crazy opening, a pretty crazy day. In fact, ATR here. Let me go ATR on one of these, BBIG. I want to be completely transparent just so everyone watching knows. I do have an AMC GME position. I'm long on both of those shares, no options at the moment in time. I have no BBIG, no ATER position. Hopefully that means that some of my commentary will be unbiased for you, since I don't really have skin in the game on these particular ones. Just trying to be a bit transparent so everyone knows. Expectations for SPY today. So a mixed bag for sure. I mean, so we have the Russell opening up and continuing to look strong. Yeah, 224.15. But then the Qs and the SPY themselves were down a little bit. The Qs, some things developing in the tech sector. I think SPY, it's going to be... I think it's going to be kind of a weird week until we get more development with the debt ceiling and what's going on with the government. So right here, I think there's going to be some chop and some whipsawing action, but look for maybe a solid trend to develop when we figure out what is going on with the government. And that could be to the upside or the downside. In all reality, I'm just not sure. But I'm expecting some people being a little bit risk off until we get some better direction from our government. Trying to learn. Thanks for everything. Shout out. Hang on the AMC chart. Yeah, I mean, it should be a little bit skinnier if you're referring to the candle on Friday, but your head's at the right spot for sure. Good chart analysis. On ATR, the short interest of free float is 8.4 million, but shares on loan is 16.5 million. Can we assume, since it can't be proven that they are using borrowed shares to deliver FTDs, since there are shares need to be bought, we can raise this short interest of free float since they wouldn't mean the same? Hey, I need to reread that. On ATR, the short interest of free float is 8.4 million, but remember that's estimated. But the shares on loan is 16.5 million. That's from 85% of transactional volume that Ortex is collecting. Can we assume, since it can't be proven that they are using borrowed shares to deliver FTDs? No. I don't know if you could safely assume that, since those are shares that need to be bought. Can we raise the short interest of free float since they mean the same? Wall Street Viking, I'm a bit confused here. Since they need to be bought, since those are shares that need to be bought, those are shares that need to be borrowed, most likely, to take care of the FTDs, not bought. They would have to be borrowed and transferred to whoever was actually previously short, so they have a legal, legitimate short position. And when you do that, the short interest is going to go up. The estimated short interest will go up as the more and more shares go on loan, are actually being loaned out. And in terms of the exchange reported short interest, well, that's the one that's running 2 weeks late, and it'll go higher and higher the more there's legitimately reported short positions. I think I'm talking about Wall Street Viking. I think we're on a different page, though, potentially. I'm a little confused. Cam H, let's freaking go. Hey, brother, I went ahead and sent you a link for the dad bod competition on Twitter. Please help me share it and get some more votes so I can get more bananas for attendees. Shout out, David. I have a lot of messages to catch up on, folks. I'm way behind, but hopefully we can get there. Yeah, Wall Street Viking. I know sometimes there's only so many characters and it's hard to get across these specific ideas. Rolls Royce blue today. Good work, AMC. Next. Hey, Matt, first time watching on an iPhone 13 Pro Max, solid AF. I like VLTA as a long play. What's your opinion? Let's get this going. Thanks for what you do. Shout out to the guys and gals like you. Shout out Mikey P. Hang on. Let me write this down. Just so I don't forget it. We will come back to VLTA. Shout out Mikey P. VLTA. VLTA. All right. Market starting to get a little bit of candles built out today. So BBIG, ATR both pushed this morning. ATR getting smacked just below 14. BBIG getting smacked at like 775. Not too bad. I mean, we saw some selling, but let's see. Like, obviously, these things are lower float, so they're very whippy. They can move quite a bit. So let's see if some buyers are going to step in or if this was just like a first 3-5 minute fluke. AMC trading at 40.37 right now. GME trading at 187.80. Now that China banned cryptos, Adam Aaron still going to accept Doge? Well, he never officially said they're going to accept Doge. They said, like, does the community want it? A lot of people said yes. They said they were going to look into it. But China's developments are not new developments. So it's not as if I don't see how Adam Aaron would be weighing in what China is or isn't doing as a country for like payment acceptance, like for them. I don't think there'll be anything like that. Can you check the short share availability on Naked? A lot of people are saying there's zero. Find that hard to believe. There's a good chance that they're looking at Fintel, which is exclusively getting data from Interactive Brokers, which is just one brokerage. So it's accurate. It's just not anywhere close to the full picture. But even with that being said, the utilization, what I'm seeing from Ortex is 99.99%, and they've already borrowed another $2 million against NAKD today. So there's a very good shot that the utilization is maxed out at 100% on NAKD. But just so everyone knows, I would not consider NAKD to be current estimated short interest. So its short interest appears to be sub 10%. Does that make sense though? NAKD, like I said, the utilization is very high. It's kind of a mid float. It's not a low float, but I don't think it's on the FTD list. I personally think there's better opportunities than NAKD, but it sounds like it's moving today. So if you're in it, I mean, congratulations. It's up a nice 12%. I'm just not the biggest fan of this particular company. And then when you do in some of it's like, it's a penny stock. It's a mid float. It's not on the threshold list. I'm just not, I think there's better opportunity. But hey, if you're in it, I'm not betting on it, against it, anything like that. If you're in it, I hope you are making money. I just think there's currently better setups in the market than NAKD. Remember what I said about Tesla last week? Up $46 since then. Looks like holding headed to 780. Thoughts? So Jeremy, I actually very much agree with you, and you nailed that call last week. After holding 760, Tesla was having a very difficult time breaking out above that. It finally got there, and then I was calling out 780. It was just the next pretty obvious level. It's just next resistance where it's battled out, and it looks like today we hit 779.88, so thus far off by 12 cents. But let's see if this keeps pushing. After 780, you're pretty much talking about that key magnet level of 800. Thoughts on ENG? Yeah, Captain Mexico. Let me write that down. ENG. All right, we'll come back to that. ENG. Got it. Got it. All right, AMC at super low volume. Whoa. AMC and GME, just really not much volume, not much volatility. And the reason why it's worthwhile to point that out right now, to me, that means it's not necessarily the most ideal time to get into options, because like even if you're getting some of the direction right, if volatility is still going down, a phenomenon referred to as IV crush, that's gonna not be bueno for your options positions. So I would be careful with options at the moment on either of these till we see some volume volatility return. All right, there we go. All right, so BBIG, let me know if this starts pushing 770 again. How's the Russell looking? Russell kind of selling off right here. Interesting. Interesting. The Russell. Let's see if it's just, I mean, we do have support at 223.5. I wonder if it's just going to base there, or are we going to see a higher low? AMC fighting back. We see some money coming back in. It's at 40.21, so not much of a range on it right now. But with that, when I say lower volume, lower volatility, not much of a range, you could strongly argue that that's a very, very common ebb and flow cycle of the stock market, of an ETF, of an individual stock. You commonly see these periods of consolidation, like where it's not moving much, and then periods of expansion where there's an explosion. That's like the ebb and flow of it. Like a move, not moving really much. So with it, this you're not going to have stocks that move all day, every day, and do nothing else. They're going to move, they're going to take a break, they're going to move, they're going to take a break. So it seems like right now, AMC and GME, we were seeing earlier September, like late August, earlier September, we saw nice movement. We saw an increase in volume, an increase in volatility. And right now it's more of the consolidation where it's like, okay, it's not as, I guess, like dramatic of movements. And just understand that doesn't mean in any way like the bulls are winning, the bears are winning, the apes are winning, the snakes are winning. That really like has no indication there. It's just, this is a natural flow. This is like common things that we see in the market. So I don't want anyone to panic and be like, whoa, like I'm expecting these huge moves all the time. I had $40, Kyle, expire in the money. I tried to roll, but I never exercised, so about 100 shares accidentally. What should I do? I mean, if you like the shares, keep the share. I don't know. Like it depends, Keith, if you want the shares or not. I don't know if like my input can tell you something that's more like advantageous of like, oh, play this way to be more profitable. You're just at the point of like, do you want those shares or not want those shares? Matt, take a look at something I came across about Cathie Wood and ARK Invest. The Truth About Cathie Wood and ARK Invest by Dario Brand on YouTube. Oh, let me write that down. I know we were talking a little bit about her this morning with buying, I guess, an extra $6.5 million worth of Robinhood. Dario Brown, The Truth About the Truth. All right, sweet. I will definitely check that out. Might be something interesting to share with the group. All right, so IWM bouncing here. How's ATR doing? They knocked it below 13. You definitely want ATR to catch itself very quickly and just stay. We want this thing back above 13. BBIG. What's the overall market doing? SPY trying to bounce. QQQ. Interesting. All right, let's see if the IWM is going to get going today. 224.50, right? Like this is kind of a breakout level for it. The reason I'm watching this intently right now is because it seems, look at these charts. The Russell 2000, AMC, looking pretty similar thus far this morning. So I'm going to leave these up just so you can see the impact of the biggest stock within this particular indice. Once again, AMC is the biggest exposure within the Russell 2000. Russell 2000, about 2,000 small cap stocks, and AMC, the biggest one, represents about 0.5% exposure of the entire index, which is actually very, very big. When you're talking about 2,000 to be 0.5%, that's crazy. So let's see how these get going today. We have the Qs trying to make their potential bounce back around. The Qs, we saw this at the end of last week, being relatively weak compared to the Russell 2000 SPY. Like, it was still green, but we just saw that other things were moving a bit better. Is the SPY? Yeah, the SPY is coming back. So the Qs, I guess, are just a little bit late to the party today. A little bit late. All right, AMC hanging out in the low 40s, GME 188. GME hasn't even traded 250,000 shares yet today. Very, very low volume on GME. Super low volume. Actually, let me put BBIG up here just so people who are interested in it can get a quick read. There we go. BBIG. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Let me just move some of this so my big head's not in the way. All right, the Russell's still moving. Still moving. All right, what else do we have? ATR short interest was 60% on Friday and now 28% on Ortex. Let me check that out. Okay, so ATER, let's get some numbers for everyone. Why is this not loading? Artesian. Okay, so I'm seeing a short interest of 29.33%, shares on loan of 16.5 million, and a utilization of 99.74%. So the 24th was what day? Yeah, so the reason why we're seeing a little bit more of a jump in short interest is because, here, I could explain this right here. All right, right here, let me zoom in. Let's get some good info. So the release date for the most recently reported exchange reported short interest. So it was valid data for September 15th, but it came out on the 24th, release versus settlement. And with it, you could just see that right here, there must have been a difference in the estimation. So on September 15th, Ortex was estimating 12.6 million shares short, but the exchange reported short interest coming from FINRA came in at 7.5 million. So their model was overestimating it to the tune of about 5 million shares. So that's why you see this drop off, is because of the model recalibration. So when you see the kind of dramatic jumps in short interest, I would be like, oh, hang on, is it a model issue of what they're estimating? And you could check out to see if one came out recently, and it did on Friday. So if it came out on Friday, that means they calibrated it over the weekend, and now we're dealing with the new numbers. But that's still a very high short interest, 29.33%, still considerably high. All right, we don't need this anymore. If you're on Ortex and you see some of these changes, definitely check that out. That's also why we saw a little bit of a decrease in what was going on with GameStop. So GameStop was pushing the realm of 15%, and then it dropped about 1 full percent there. Same thing, calibration, just model stuff going on. Same thing. All right, the Qs trying to do their thing. Let's see if this is going to keep going. Russell 2000 looking strong. I honestly, at this point, I thought that would be playing out better for AMC. Maybe AMC is just lagging a little bit behind, but the strength in the small cap sector right now, since 941 on the 1 minute chart, all we've seen are green bars. So I'm a little bit surprised that AMC is not pushing this 40, 50 level, 40 and a half. But let's see how this plays out. Man, GME, no volume, no volatility. I very much want this to start moving again. How's the SPY looking? SPY, 443, another V shape. Would we see the V shape on Friday morning, on Thursday? One day last week, we saw a very similar V shape where it sold off, and then they perfectly bought it back up. Kind of some interesting stuff. All right, what are the Qs going to do here? The Qs The Qs. If it doesn't just roll over right here, which now that I'm seeing, hang on, some things are selling. The SPY, look at all three of these taking, actually all four technically taking a hit at once. The Russell 2000, the SPY, and the NASDAQ all simultaneously seeing some red. But let's see if people, what's going on. It's just people, I guess, someone's selling. But let's see if people are going to start buying. BBIG short interest. It's going to be 26%. Some people are saying 260. That is a data error that's getting pushed out by E-Trade, but it's about the estimation, which is going to be pretty accurate based on this recent model. It's going to be around 26%. So I get that it's not like the 260 you're hearing about, but that's still super, super high. Like, it's a normal stock is like sometimes like you don't even see them above 1%. So when you're talking about 26, like AMC and GME have considerable short interest and they're at like 20 and 14 respectively. So BBIG, it's not that ungodly number that people are saying, but it's still very, very high. I can't stress that enough. Subaru guy here regarding ATR. Don't you find it kind of weird that the borrowed shares are over 16 million and increasing and the shorted shares are only 8 million? Yes, I do. And I think this is a little bit of what Wall Street Viking was referring to. Let me pull this one back up just so everyone can see what we're talking about. Just so you know, the outstanding shares is 44.45 million and 65% would be the free float. Free float, that could differ from provider to provider. Depending on how they calculate free float, there's not like a widely accepted calculation. It's a little bit different here and there, but I do find this strange. Let me just dive into a little bit here. All right, let's get rid of this. So right here, the reason why they're coming down is kind of the same deal that we saw before. I mean, this is the 12.5 versus 7.5, kind of a notable, a sizable overestimation. This on the top here, you have that purple line. That's Ortex's estimation, and we're getting that data from September 15th that got posted on Friday. They were overestimating it by 5 million, which is, it's sizable, and that's why you see this drop off, and that would be my best suggestion on like why it's a bit wonky. But here's my thought. In 2 weeks, when we get the next one, I bet the model is now severely underestimating it, and we're going to see a spike up. I bet the truth is somewhere in the middle. At first, they were overestimating. Now, I find it unreasonable that they would only be short half the ones taking out. Like, that does seem strange to me. Like, one of my flags, my spidey senses are tingling. So if I had to bet, which I am a betting man, I would bet that by the time the next one comes out, the model's underestimating it. And when we get the new data set, it's going to recalibrate it back to the upside. If I had to throw out my own thought on that one. Hey, Mark, I haven't transferred out of Robinhood in fear of missing the squeeze with volume so low. Do you think it would be wise to transfer out this week? I mean, there's always going to be risk. I can't tell you that like, oh, you're perfectly fine. But I think you're at a very low risk right now, Mike. I really, really do. My suggestion is, and I've been talking about this, and it's just so simple, especially if you're in the US. I don't know if you are or aren't, but check out public.com, public.com/Matt Kohrs here. I'll pin this to the top of chat right here. It's free trading, free stock trading. They don't have options. They're going to roll out crypto soon. But free trading, you get free stock when you sign up. But to me, I mean, who doesn't like a free stock? But to me, the best part about it truly is no payment for order flow, no market makers, no dark pools. All your orders are going directly to a lit exchange. Robinhood doesn't do that. Webull doesn't do that. There are so many places that just don't do that. Yes, you can avoid all of what I just said, which I think is worthwhile to avoid if you end up doing something like Fidelity, but you can't just willy-nilly trade on Fidelity. You have to use Active Trader Pro and pick the route that you want your order to be sent on. If you're not doing that, there's a high probability it's still going to basically OTC. It's going to still be going to Citadel Virtu. While public, you just don't even have to worry about that. You don't have to like go and be like, oh, pick my route order or anything like that. Public is only going to these exchanges. And to me, it's smart to kind of be like fighting against some of that stuff. I think it's very, very smart. The one thing, so the question I get a lot about Public is like, well, hang on, if they're not doing payment for order flow, how do they make money? They do have, it's twofold. They have a tipping system, and then they also do share lending. But if you don't want your shares to be lent out, you can just, there's like a contact, like basically this like automated like robot chat thing, and you could turn off the lending for your account, just so you know. I believe they are allowed to borrow shares to deliver FTDs, but this only kicks the can. That's what I'm trying to say. Well, I mean, so yeah, well, Wall Street Viking, that's like like if you take a short position and you never borrowed shares, that's how it is in FTD. So of course, like you properly borrowing the shares will fix it, because now it's a legal, legitimate short position. At some point, they will need to buy those shares, even though they are not technically short on the stock, since they are borrowed and delivered. No. They don't need to buy it. They need to locate it for the person who's short that should have never been short because they didn't locate the shares. So they need to track those shares down. And once they do, and they properly loan them to like allow the person who's short to actually have like a legal, legitimate loan, that's like the issue that like they should be fixing. So just remember, it's the scenario of, let's say a hedge fund comes to a prime broker and they're like, I want to short this stock. The prime broker is like, cool, go for it. And the prime broker, they're like, oh, shoot, we don't have those shares. So if they finally locate them, like let's say one of their clients buys it and they're like, okay, we could just borrow it from this account. It's just like a balancing act. They're like, okay, cool. Like we now have these shares. I think we're good to go. They're properly accounted for. And it goes from being a naked short to a legal, legitimate short because they track the shares down. It's all good. No. And like, these are great questions. These are amazingly good questions that I think people, for us to better understand like what is and isn't going on, this is the knowledge that the ape community like needs to get, so we can like better understand the system that we're dealing with. So I mean, I don't know, obviously I have a passion for talking about it because like I'm a big fan of the market. I like the market. Do I think the market's perfect? I don't think it's perfect, but do I think it's worthwhile to fight for us to fix some of the issues? Well, without a doubt. I mean, the market's great. The more people that learn about the market, study after study has shown that the earlier you start engaging in the market, the better off your financial health is like decades down the road. So with it, I love talking about this stuff. I love teaching about it. I think it's great that so many normal people are learning about the market, because I think it's a smart financial decision for everyone to like really improve their own financial literacy. I think it's a wickedly smart decision. If Robinhood has legal or financial troubles in the near future, do you think it would have issues getting my money out of Robinhood? I don't think so. I mean, of course, like whenever you're talking about the market or anything like that, you're never talking about like, oh, guaranteed this. Like there's no such thing as a guarantee. I can't be like, you're perfectly fine. But they did raise a lot of money in the debacle back in January, February this year. I mean, they raised like $3.5 billion. So the company has shown itself like an ability to keep itself afloat. There's people who are investing a lot in it. Like it is worth quite a bit of money. The scenario that I think you would get into, Mike, is like if everyone simultaneously did a rush on Robinhood and is like, I want out. Like if every Robinhood user is like, give me my money, give me my money. If I had to guess, I would think that would be very, very problematic for them. But this is related to yours of like, oh, like if you start the transfer now to not miss the squeeze, like I think you're going to be good. And I don't think there's like a mass exodus on Robinhood at the moment. But okay, the way I look about it, if you're in the market, you're in the game of measuring risk versus reward. And the way I view it is there's absolutely no reason to add on the risk of Robinhood. Like to me, it's just like you're taking a risk that has like no upside, because in my opinion, there are better brokerages that are, and like I said, this is just my opinion, that are more truthful to their clients and have better services. There's a lot of good brokerages out there. So like, why add on the risk of being on one that's like notably bad? Subaru guy, want to reiterate something is fishy with ATR short interest cost to borrow at 200%, but they borrow 6 million shares and nothing with it makes no sense. That's what the numbers aren't adding up. And like I said, if I had to guess, by the time we get that next cycle, I think it's going to go up, because the fact that the cost to borrow is so high, like that's a lot of money to be paying and to not actually be short. I agree. It looks very, very fishy when it's coming to like when we're discussing ATER. But hey, that's also kind of what we've been seeing. Like that's the general theme of a lot of the stocks that people within this community are noticing, is like the people are being attracted to these stocks that the numbers are simply not adding up. Like that's kind of a main pillar of the overall ethos profile of this community, is saying, whoa, like this doesn't make sense. And then people are diving into it, and it's more of like the game of like, hang on, like we think we caught someone in a situation they shouldn't be in. It's illegal, it's immoral, it's a combo of the two, and they're looking to capitalize on it. And I have at it. What's going on, Tristan? That's funny. All right. So I see a couple people talking about MMAT having a good day, up 7.8%. I thought this one had to get above. Oh, no. MMAT's having a great day. You might be looking at the start of something. Just so you know, if you get into it, your risk, it's a little, it's honestly not even that far away. Jeez. I guess you could call it 475. So you're risking less than $1. Interesting. The risk reward setup on MMAT, it's intriguing to me. I have no MMAT position, but I do admit it's interesting. It's showing some strength. MMAT, the thing that you really need to dive into this one is it's not a straightforward FTD short squeeze play. Like this is in like another realm of a type of play. And with this, you really need to dive into the acquisition of TRCH, how all that went, the special dividend payment, the shorts that were in TRCH before the acquisition. It's a little bit of a different scenario, but promising. I like the chart. I like what's seeing. I think if you're in MMAT right now, there should be a big smile on your face. Signed up for margins on Ameritrade when I started, turned it off on the app, but my AMC shares were still loaned out until I called them to turn off margins. Yeah, so we're seeing various reports of people who thinking their stuff shouldn't be loaned out actually getting loaned out. So if you want to double check with that, I mean, we even see it like a lot of people are pitched this concept of like, oh, I'm on a cash account, they can't loan it out. And then you have these big money managers that like are getting fined for that anyway. So it is worthwhile to check if you're like specifically don't want your shares loaned out, to like double check that they're actually not being loaned out. Sweet. All right, coffee break, folks. That was a weird noise. All right, so MMAT flexing. Here, let's go to the 3 minute now that it's 10. Let's go to the 3 minute. MMAT pushing. All right, how's GME looking? All right, GME, I mean, it needs volume. Let's see if this can push that 188, 190 level. It got smacked right in the middle, 189 this morning. MMAT, hey, I know people have been kind of battling it out in this one in a while, so it probably feels like, hey, like we've been in this, like finally it's going our way. Congrats. Take a look at Sava. I think this was a potential gap fill play. Yes. Okay. So we're looking at this first gap fill to 67.60. Looks like it's going to hit that. And if you see momentum, this, if I had to guess, would take a while, but eventually 96.63. And then after that, the additional gap fill up to 115.53. I think Sava is not a play that you're going to want to rush. Like, I think if you give it time, this thing could practically be doubling up to 115. But once again, I'm bullish on it. I don't know. I'm talking from exclusively a technical standpoint on this one. I don't know. It's a pharmaceutical sector, and that's not really where my expertise lies. But from a technical perspective, I like what I'm seeing. To me, it's a easy layup of a trade for a gap fill up to 67.60. I'm talking like an easy layup of a trade. It's a little bit chasey just because your risk isn't that far, but like it's just showing so much strength. If I had to predict what's going to go on with Sava, I would throw out that it's going to push, it's going to gap fill, it's going to push a little more. The technicals are going to get hot. It's going to come back down. The technicals are going to cool off. And then from there, it'll start to swing again. So if you're missing thus far the boat on Sava, watch it and wait for something like that to happen. Wait for the technicals to cool off, for it to base, and then for it to once again show momentum. And then hopefully you can be checking out 97. And really, hopefully you could be checking out practically, what is this, 115.50. Hey, Matt, thanks for teaching. In 3 months, I've had a 2,000% return with closing any position. Question PLTR calls 27-29, October 8th. I think October 8th is a little bit too soon. But I'm a big fan of Palantir, especially for the long term. Right now, to me, this is not the day to get into Palantir. I mean, it ran up, it got double rejected. For all I know, this could be coming back down to 26. And I think October 8th is too short of a time frame. Palantir, I think, is one that it's just, to me, a long-term investment. So before, when we were talking about Sava not being necessarily my expertise, I think Palantir, just from like what I know about the technical, I guess, world, to me, it's pretty impressive. I think Palantir, compared to its competitors, Palantir is a data analytics company that is involved with Peter Thiel. I would argue they are multiple years ahead of their closest competitors in terms of data analytics and what they do and don't do. I really like it. I don't specifically... In the medium term, I'd be looking for a gap fill up to 31.34. But in the very short term, which you're trying to do because you're trying to play October 8th calls, I mean, for all we know, this might just be coming down to once again base at 26. So I would be just be careful with that. It wouldn't be my type of play. I think that's a little bit too much risk. But hey, if you hit it, you're going to hit it well. But I would want to see some buyers step in. Like I wouldn't be trying to like bottom ticket or anything like that. The Russell pushing. The Russell flexing its muscles. The Russell is flexing. All right. Hang on. Let me write. IRNT. Ortex numbers still blowing my mind. What will it take to rip? Still on the threshold list. Kind of the same. Like, and I don't mean this facetiously, but what it takes any of them to rip. You need a lot of people to buy. Just because something is highly shorted doesn't mean people are buying it. You need people to like agree with your thesis and be like, hang on, this might squeeze, so I want to buy now. And then because it goes up a little bit, the next person might buy, and then you get this big, I guess, push of overall buying. So remember, it's a falsehood to believe that just because something is highly shorted on the threshold list that it has to move up. That's a very, very dangerous, incorrect thought. Adrian, I missed it. Adrian. Hey, Matt, can you give, Las Vegas Sands, a look at Ortex in general? I believe it's very oversold. Thanks from a fellow monkey. Monkey noises. All right, let's check out Las Vegas Sands, LVS. LVS, a nice 3% day. Las Vegas, I mean, I am bullish on the gambling sector. So this one isn't online gambling, which I'm a little bit more bullish on, but this is still gambling nonetheless. I like it right here. LVS. This is actually LVS. Hey, someone we should mark this down. Matt Kohrs, September 27th, 2021. To me, I like this. So it's trading at 38 right now. So your risk is very well defined in the mid 35s. And then you could just tranche your way out in 3 different segments. So let's say you own 30 shares. Well, you could target 10 at 39.77, 10 at 40.79, and then 10 more at 41.73. Bing, bang, boom. Easy. This is like, what a nice like pyramid system. Like your risk is well defined. You're kind of getting in on a double bounce scenario. I like this trade right now. I really do. I don't currently own any Las Vegas sand, but I think this is a nice setup. You're risking, what's this, about $2.50, and then you just have a nice system. Like you have perfect levels to just pyramid out, like a 30-year position here, a third here, or you could do whatever you want, like maybe a 10th and then 45. Like you could do whatever ratios and percentages you want. But to me, this is just, the risk is super well defined. You're buying it on some weakness. I would prefer to buy and invest on weakness. Your reward, even in the short to medium term, super, super easy to identify. If you just like it and you like this value, you're like, nah, whatever. Like my first level could be 45, or maybe you want to watch 47. But it depends on your time frame and how long you do or don't want to be involved. But I'd be bullish on this. I definitely would be bullish on this right now. Recently, it took a bit of a hit. There was, I believe, kind of a crackdown, a regulatory crackdown on gambling over in China, Hong Kong, something that happened like a week or two ago. So all casino stocks took a hit just because when regulations increase, obviously that's not a good scenario. So you're kind of buying it on this dip. You might want to look into what those regulations were and how serious they are before you like spend any money. But I kind of like the setup. Someone just said, please show GME. GME is literally right here. It's trading at 186. Brian something, long time no talk, my old friend. What are your things on Joby's gap play? Think it can still gap up? Not financial advice. Joby, vertical takeoff and landing taxi service. So it gapped up previously on the 23rd, and it just filled that gap today at $10 flat. I don't know when, obviously I don't know when, but I still very much think that it will gap fill eventually to 1132, which would be a nice, 13% gain getting in at this level. You might want to be a bit patient and just wait for some buyers to actually step into this, start to see the swing back around. But yeah, I mean, I'm a fan of these gap fill plays. This one, the risk is a bit wide, but it's doing well because Morgan Stanley last week they initiated coverage on it as an overweight position, which is bullish. They're saying they really like JOBY, Joby, I don't know how it's pronounced, but it's a taxi service, kind of like an airline taxi service, vertical takeoff and landing. Cool stuff. Check out their website, check out their team. It does seem interesting. From a technical perspective, I'd probably want to see a little bit more demand coming in. Maybe I'd read the price action, see what's going on. I honestly don't even know if it has a built-out option chain yet, but kind of a layup of a trade to that gap fill. Hang on, let me... Hippie long stocking. That's a funny name. All right, you're asking about GNW, and then we have another one about VIR. Just got approved for COVID treatment and hit all-time high 127. This is barely moving. The high buy orders. Can you look up the Ortex? All right, let me start with that one. VIR on Ortex. VIR has a short interest of 8.58%, and there was actually a net return today on VIR. Been hearing about OPTT for a while, heavily shorted, and it's got potential. Look at the whole timeline for it, Matt. I think you'd like it. I've been day trading it for months now, up a few grand. Congratulations. Let me see, what is the short interest on it? Ocean Power Technologies, OPTT. For whatever reason, Ortex does not have it. The most recently reported short interest stuff. Yeah, I'm not seeing the... For whatever reason, it's just... it doesn't seem to have that much of a range, OPTT. it is bending back around. I can't seem to track down the short interest, but it's shown a little bit of strength. They tried to knock it, bounce off of 180, kind of looking back up, but I'm not too familiar with this particular stock. All right, GNW. Geneworth Financial, whatever this is looking strong. A life/health insurance. So I've never heard of this one. My favorite health insurance play is United Health Group, UNH. And that's just because it's a behemoth. It's like the biggest health insurance company, I believe, maybe in the world, definitely in the US. So I don't know much about this one. I do like the technical breakout at 380. I would then be watching 405. With that being said, though, I don't think the risk reward is there. 405, which is what, a 20-cent gain while risking 50 cents. To me, the risk reward isn't there. I do admit it looks bullish, but like, what would I risk? It's, I don't want my risk reward ratio to get like super out of whack. Not the most ideal. Thanks for the super chat, Monty. What do you think? Have you seen Dish Network? I have not. Dish Network. What's Dish doing? Dish is having a real good day, up 3.75%. Watch 46. Rejection. Let's see if it could break this time. Kind of a cup and handle setup on Dish. People ask me about VLTA. This one is one that had a nice move, but now it's looking a bit heavy. The technicals might need to cool off on this one, but it was showing some strength pretty much all of September. I think the technicals just got a bit hot on it. ENG moving. What is this one? Oil Field Services and Equipment. ENG Global. GME catching a bid, AMC catching a bid, Q's catching a bid. Money's pouring into the market right now, folks, like as we speak. Interesting. Very, very interesting. ENG, excuse me. Maybe watch 320 and then 390. I would want to know why this is moving. I know oil has been moving, but I'm just curious if it'll actually, like, clearly it's just been trading downward ever since February. I wonder if this is finally going to get like out of that trend and get some momentum. All right, I think that's my current list. Someone asked about IRNT. It's looking weak. I mean, it needs to kind of bounce here. If it does not bounce here, you're talking about 1725. It is at previous resistance, which can clearly act as support. It looks like it gap filled on Friday, and it's like near that gap filled today. You want this bounce like now. If it starts to show a bit more weakness, you're talking about sub 20 on IRNT. LAC, what's going on with one of the world's biggest lithium miners? Is it a liner, or do they... I know it's involved in lithium. I don't know if they mine it or if they process it, or something has to be going on there. But I know it's lithium, and right now there's a big shortage of lithium. So I mean, on the intraday basis, it's moving nicely. Like, look at that push. It's up. Well, it's down on the day compared to Friday's close, but ever since 9:45, this thing has been pushing upward. On the daily chart, a little bit of chop right now. I mean, it pushed so much. This was the cool off period. I still think it has to gap fill. Why is this not working? I'd still be interested in this gap fill to 23.15 at this point. Risk not that bad. You could just risk 20. That's kind of a nice risk to reward setup. But with this one, I would dive into the lithium situation, try to figure out like what is or isn't going on there. Potential for sure. Potential. What happened with MVIS? Microvision. Looks like the volume died off. Looks like the volatility died off. Essentially just kind of chop sideways trading in all reality ever since February. It's lower rather than higher. So like the risk reward is more optimized. You wouldn't really be risking too awful much if you're just risking 250. This one though, I don't think this is like some big squeeze play or something like that. You just have to say, do you like Microvision? Dive into the fundamentals. see if you like the trend of the company and what they are or aren't doing. Dish Network is partnering with Cardano. Oh, ADA. So Dish, interesting. Peter van de Kloot. Thank you for sharing that. I didn't know that Dish was partnering up with Cardano. I'm a big fan of Ethereum, Cardano, the smart contracts. Big fan of it. I think it's cool that Dish. I just see crypto as being more and more widely accepted, and as it's more accepted, man, I just think it's a great long-term investment right now. I'm very bullish on crypto, and I'm actually I've been studying it where I feel more comfortable to speak about it. Just so everyone knows, I'm going to start putting out crypto videos. I'm a big fan of it. I think it's a great opportunity. That doesn't mean I'm going to stop talking about the other stocks, but hey, I can walk and chew bubble gum at the same time. So if you happen to be a crypto enthusiast and maybe you are part of the Moon Gang and you're like, man, we wish we would talk more about crypto. We're going to talk more about crypto for sure. Between this channel and Kohrs Light, the Matt Kohrs channel and the Kohrs Light channel, and also on Rumble, it'll all just be on that Rumble channel. Definitely going to put out some more just crypto specific content because I'm getting more and more DMs of it. And sometimes that's how I judge where should I make my next grouping of videos on. Because my goal is to answer the most questions possible, and most recently I've been getting way I don't even know why, but over the past 6 weeks, I would say the percentage increase in the crypto questions that I'm getting DM'd or somehow reach out about, it's going up a lot. So be on the lookout for that if you happen to care about crypto. GME, it's right at that 188 to 190 is at 190.61. Let's look for, I don't know why I have 191.71 marked out. That could have been the high from last week, but we're at that level. 188, 190. We know GME here. I like that it's battling it out. We want it to stay above 190, but really with it, I want to be paying attention to 200 flat on GME. Love when GME is holding above that. Ape Fam, I had a dream with a huge AMC balloon going to the moon and everyone was in a costume. Feel a squeeze coming. Very life-changing channel. Love you all. Shout out GH. Thank you, Michael. I appreciate that super chat. What are your thoughts on SoFi? As in the stock or as a brokerage? Why do I see people spamming about Alibaba? I'd be a little hesitant with it. I think Alibaba is one of the most undervalued stocks in the market. But that's on a fundamental basis. And right now you do have to factor in some of the political situations with Alibaba, not only between the US and China, but also between China and Jack Ma. I'd be careful with it. AMC and GME bouncing. You have GME coming off of 186 to 190. So it's trying to break out, but let's get more excited when it actually holds this and makes a move up to 200. GME currently up 2.78% on the day, which is awesome. AMC is at 40.11, which means it is green on the day by 0.3% right now. So we're seeing some money flow back in. I think that's good. IWM still doing its thing. All right, what else do we have? Dish Network is partnering our way. Good entries, CEI and MMAT. MMAT, I guess the way I would have looked at it was the entry has already now been missed. On an intraday basis, if you're okay with risking 550 or probably better 545, but from a daily perspective, we were talking a little bit more heavily last week about MMAT when it started to show this strength and it got traversed this range. A lot of people chasing, but on it is chasing, but this particular chase right now, you are at a lower risk. I mean, because the risk point is the high fours, which isn't that bad. You're really not even risking $1, but I guess you could argue that's roughly 18-ish% right now. So that's kind of a wider risk that not a lot of people are acceptable, willing to accept. So that all comes up to you. It's like, okay, what are you going to risk? Like, what's your price level? What's your percentage? Like, what's your risk tolerance? And that's different from person to person to person. So I can't be like, oh, your entry should be here, because so many different people would look at this like differently. Like, you're going to trade different than I'm going to trade. Sometimes we might have overlap. Other times we might interpret things very, very differently. I guess I'm hesitant in general of saying, oh, like everyone should get in here and get out here, because I'm not a perfect trader, folks. I'm not. So like, why would anyone copy me? Like, it's like this concept of like buy and sell signals and listen to this person for like when you should get in and out of stocks. I think it's super, super silly, because I've never heard of a perfect trader. And even with that, if you're copying someone, like, you don't know, like, if like they're just going to be done one day, or if they get out and they're on vacation and they just didn't like tweet about it or something like that. Do not, in this game, do not rely on someone else for your trades. Ever, ever, ever. You are in charge of your own money. And I think that's very, very important. But like, to treat these certain people like, oh, I got to follow this person and take exactly what they're saying. No, develop your own skill set. You got to learn. Because like, when it comes down to it, you're the one who's in charge of your P&L, not someone else. Oh, hey, Mark, exercised my put option on my fiance of 6 years over the weekend, doing okay, but AMC going to the moon would be a nice pick-me-up. LFG. Mikey, sounds like you're going through some stuff. I'm sorry, man. I hope, man, that's tough. That's a tough one. Exercise my put option. I hope it could be as good as it is. Kind of cracking me up though. NAK thoughts. NAK looks like it's coming down to a gap fill. 48.80. Thoughts on CEI? Looks like a good entry point. CEI, that's been the other oil one that's running like crazy. Oh, good. No, we talked about this last week. The good entry point was back here around between $1.60, $1.80, not at $2.44. The risk is, in my opinion, too wide. But if you're like, no, I'm willing to risk it all, okay, have at it. But from a technical perspective, I would have been, it shot up, it took the break, and then right here, it was September 23rd was the day to reasonably still kind of want to chase CEI. I said chase because on the daily perspective, like you're still missing out on the party. But like now, way too, like you're just late to the party. And that's okay. There's other opportunity. You just have to be patient and wait. What? BBIG short interest up. Brendan, there are some issues with data providers reporting inaccurate short interest on BBIG. Just so everyone knows, BBIG, it still has a very, very high short interest, but it's around 26%, not 260%. Thoughts on Xcla? The last time we checked out Xcla, I was not the biggest fan. It just doesn't, it's not moving. It's just slowly but surely drifting down. Seems like a waste of capital and emotional resources to get tied up in Xcla. I just don't, it seems like it pumped, dumped, and now it has low volume, low volatility, and it's just not really trending. How was the wedding party, Matt? Hope you had fun. Yeah, I mean, it was a really, really fun time. I don't know if I have any West Virginians listening right now, but we did some whitewater rafting on the Gully River, and it's actually like apparently a world-renowned river. So we're hitting some rapids. It was fun. It was actually a really, really good time. I think a lot of people had a blast. It was, for me, it was nice to like get out and get away from like a computer screen that like have just been like burning like holes in my eyes. Instead of seeing nature through like my screen monitor, I got to see it in person. I was like, oh, this is a novel concept. But it was a good old time. All right, what do we have right here? All right, the Qs are pushing, IWM potentially pushing. Oops, sorry, I meant to go SPY. The SPY also pushing. So we see some, I guess people are not too concerned about our debt ceiling in the government right now. It's not a big day. I mean, I guess actually technically the Qs are down and the SPY is down. They're trying to push green. IWM, like the small cap sector, looking strong. Definitely looking strong in the small caps. Well, actually, is there news that I'm missing on small caps? Like, this seems a bit abnormal that the SPY and the Qs are down in the red and IWM's up by the amount that it is. Interesting. AMC currently just below 40. It's at 39.79. GME, we're at that region, the 190, 188. It went up. It actually tapped almost 192, but then got smacked kind of quickly. So we're still just watching 188 to 190. Let's see if GME can like successfully hold it, kind of create that nice base there once again, and start slowly but surely tracking its way up towards, I would say closer to that like flat 200 level. Hey Matt, could you do a live tutorial on doing this math on whether a stock is overvalued or undervalued? I try, but not sure if the numbers are correct. So there's going to be a lot of different ways. Like there's not one perfect model, and that's why we have so many different analysts giving their own opinions. There are there's actually already a lot of good ones on YouTube that you could just watch for free for fundamental breakdowns of valuing companies. But just understand there's not one right one. It's all different people's opinion on like what gives something value. But some of the times it's as basic as like, okay, you're looking at its earnings. It's like PE, price to earnings ratio. You're looking at like its debt. But there's not like a unified way. But before, if you're referring to Alibaba, so one way you could look at that is like I would just compare it to other tech companies, and I saw its income and its debt and what was going on. I was like, well, this is trading on a relative basis to other big tech companies. It's trading at a big discount on relative to its price to earnings ratio. Like if you were to compare it to other big tech ones. So that's one way you could do it, but that's just like one of many, many ways. But honestly, right now, like today, you could watch like a ton of like how to value a stock type videos on YouTube. Can you check Ortex on KPLT? Use up my free trial. It keeps them. Brambles, what's going on? KPLT. I still like KPLT as a gap fill up to 930, but just KPLT, there is technically a gap to the downside. KPLT currently has a short interest of 22.5%, shares on loan of 14.25 million, and a utilization of 100%. And thanks for that reminder. It looks like, hang on, let me restart my Discord. Shout out Cootery. Coot. ETR wants to cross. Austin, what's going on? TD is reporting 200. Yeah, the 260 looks like it's inaccurate. Oh, Evergrande chairman pocketed $8 billion in dividends during the Evergrande collapse while forcing employees to lend company cash as well as freezing their pay. That's absurd. This is being reported by Unusual Whales about the Evergrande. Once again, Evergrande chairman pocketed $8 billion in dividends during the Evergrande collapse while forcing the employees to lend company cash as well as freezing their pay. That's insane. That's absolutely disgusting. LAC is number 3 in lithium. Problem is it's owned by a I didn't know it was owned. Is that an ADS or is it like just like some legal shell thing? Gamus. SEC tweet on small caps. What's the SEC saying? Today's settlement, hang on, what is this? Today is the 27th. SEC tweet, or should we check out Gensler? 52 minutes ago. The SEC Small Business Capital Formation Advisory Committee is meeting virtually today. Tune in at 10 a.m. All right, what else? I'll be speaking shortly at the Virtual Asset Management Advisory Committee meeting. All right. I don't. I'll have to dive into it like during the midday break today, and maybe I could do a quick like rundown of what was and wasn't said and how it will or won't impact us. But it sounds like something's going on today, some sort of meeting there with a virtual meeting and Gary Gensler. All right, what else do we have going? SEC has charged 2 individuals for fraudulent trading scheme involving meme stocks. SEC charged 2 individuals for fraudulent trading involving meme stocks. The 2 were engaging in fraudulent scheme designed to collect liquidity rebates from exchanges by wash trading put options of certain meme stocks in early 2021. One person executed 11,400 trades, with himself netting at least 668,000 in liquidity rebates. Moreover, the wash trading scheme impacted the market, skewing the volume in options contracts and inducing other traders to place trades in otherwise illiquid option contracts. Crazy. That's ridiculous. Hey, seems like heads are starting to roll in this whole deal. Vlad unloads 1.25 million shares of Hood on September 28th for 45.5 million. Safety first. Oh, and it went public the next day. Jesus. Wow. Wow. Robinhood. So frustrating what these people pull off and what they do. What a freaking debacle. Well, folks, this is part of why we do it. It's to shed light on these things. It's to get like actual legitimate change. I know a lot of you are in here. You're like, okay, like I would like change, but I like also just want to make money, and I don't see why they can't happen together. I really don't. I really truly don't. Like I think we could be fighting the good fight of like just fairness and transparency, and to stop I guess kind of just take on the cronyism of like what goes on in this world, especially in Wall Street and politics. And if you could do it while sending a message, while making money, to me that's like an interesting scenario. Matt, so now you are pushing other stocks, JKA. I'm trying to perfect my fib indicator readings. Could you see if you can confirm that on the 1 minute chart, AMC is respecting the 50% at 39.83? I mean, I guess I'm on the 1 minute. I don't know if you're using multiple days or just today's like high and low, or if you're doing a fib extension. Here's the fib retracement from the high to low, and I'm seeing the 50% at 40.05, but it actually looks like it's most respecting the 62% one at 40.20 right here on the fib bounce. All right, someone is asking me about LXRX. Another pharmaceutical biotech company. I have no clue what they're doing, but the chart looks strong. It shoots up, cools off. Nice entry would have been around here, 470. Not too far away now, 520. It looks like it's kind of gearing up for a move. But before I would buy any pharmaceutical one, dive into it. What are they working on? Like what tests are they currently running? What trials, what drugs are they trying to get approved? Just do a quick search. I mean, I'm just not the biggest fan of pharmaceuticals because it seems to always be super binary of like, oh, approval, good test, and it shoots up. Or if it loses the drug, doesn't get approval, it drops. Not really the most nice, like trending charts. Did you go rafting with Tim Pool? I think he mentioned something about this past weekend as well. I didn't know he was doing that.
Whoa, brother.
That would have been funny. No. This was just with some of my really close friends from college. It was a great time. Want to laugh? AZI, Alta, Zinc, ASX featured on Rats Rants on Twitter. Finance in Oz trying to be space apes, trying to make meme stocks of their own with completely irrelevant dated memes. It's so Netflix and chill. AZI is legit, though, Zinc, etc. That's funny. Shout out, Burns. Hope you're having a good day. Hope you had a good weekend. All right. How are things pushing today? I guess they're still wanting to trend upward. Is our market still betting higher and higher? Is this SPY gonna want to touch 444 flat again, or is we gonna get smacked here? All right, AMC trading at 39.73, GME trading at 188.40. Let's do a quick Ortex checks on these. AMC, they've already borrowed 1.34 million for a net 800,000, short interest of 20.61. This is sky high. This would actually be an all-time. It might be off by 100%. Let me just double check this. Yes, 20.47, 20. Yeah, so 20.61. If we were to close right here with nothing else changing, excuse me, this would be an all-time high for the estimated short interest on AMC. Crazy, crazy high. It is factually inaccurate to be like, oh, they've like dried up. It would be very, very, very wrong to say that. GameStop, they've borrowed 206,000 for a net of 190, short interest of 13.8%. My daughter wanted to get $5 for her birthday money for you supporting me. Thank you for me and your daughter. Oh, Wired. What's going on, Wired? Folks, if you haven't already, check out, I don't know what your Twitter handle is off the top of my head. If you are in the AMC GME world, check out Wired. I follow it on my account. Good information about just more of. I would say a certain subsect of people within the community who are like going out of their way to kind of get like very specific answers for stock market plumbing. And I myself have learned quite a bit from the account. So it's I think it's good for anyone who like wants to know more about like the in-depth of like, okay, what does this mean? How does Citadel fit with Citadel Connect fitting with Virtu? What is the dark pool, ATS, all that. So if you want to get into more of that, like that in-depth higher level knowledge type of stuff, I think it's a worthwhile account to pay attention to. Because with it, I mean, there's a lot to learn. And that's what I think is one of the coolest things about this community is you have so many people who are stepping up to like dive into one thing. They share it with the community and like we gain more knowledge as an overall group. And then we move on to the next thing. But also shout out to your daughter for her birthday. I love a space ape in training. What's up with Cardano? Love your opinions. I love Cardano. Big fan of Cardano. Right now it's hanging out at 220. It's been better. It's also been worse. Right now crypto is like in an awkward in between, not moving much, but I still think the whole thesis of my thesis of how big smart contracts will continue to grow and to be in like their like most popular form between Cardano and Ethereum, I think it's undeniable. Big fan of both of those. KPLT is on the move, might fill that gap very soon. KPLT, I mean, it's been a bit of a slower mover for sure. And it's still like time. I mean, we've mapped this out now. So 775, I'd be watching that in the short term, and I'm still looking for the gap fill up to 930. You just have to be a little bit cautious about the potential other gap fill to 360. But right here, I mean, if you don't have a KPLT position and you're like, oh, okay, I kind of like this, just so you know, I would personally risk 530 because like that's a risk that I would be willing to, I guess, take on this situation for maybe a 775 or a 930 exit. But it's kind of awkwardly just in the middle of this range between 4 and 775, currently trading at 615. It would, as it starts to push that $7 mark, I think you could see a build up in momentum. It's totally ping and was up all day long. Oh shoot, how was the wedding, brother? I'm off to Townsville once border opens. We should definitely catch up. We hold it and mulligans once I do. Shout out Burns. So this was just more of like a party, like kind of a, I don't know, an interesting new take, I suppose, on a bachelor party, and I had a great time. It was awesome. Dan Landry, MRIN, gearing up for another move. So MRIN, oops, hang on, let me just make sure. Why is this not working? MRIN. Yes, looking strong. So it gapped up, went red. That's weakness. It based very quickly at 8. It started pushing, and it's pushing again. It's now been rejected, let's say roughly at the $11 mark 3 times. I would look for it to push that, and then I would say pretty quick move up to the July 21st high at 12. That's how I would look at the situation. But with this, understand the risk reward is not the most ideal. Your risk point would be 750 if you're on the daily chart. Maybe you see some intraday mark that you feel a bit more comfortable with, but just be careful, because like the way we talk about gaps, there's a chance that this gap 573 one of these days gets filled, but obviously it could shoot up first and then come back down and fill it. But it's an interesting setup. MRIN, Marion Software Incorporated, definitely showing some strength in my humble opinion. People talking about Tesla 782. So 780 is a pretty important level. As you can see, we have some support, resistance. Actually, 780 is massively important for Tesla. In fact, if it holds above it and closes above it, I would say the odds of it going above 800 are pretty high. But Tesla flexing. If I had to guess, the technicals are probably currently a little bit hot because it has been moving ever since mid-May, the end of May. It's just been kind of going up and up and up. So might get rejected here and then like need a base off something before like a big push, because like 780, 800 would be a crazy breakout for Tesla. Shout out Tony, FAMI, penny stock on at 20 thoughts on Gapville, FAMI. Probably not the best. Is this an all-time low? Yeah. So you're buying on weakness, which I like am a fan of, but I just don't see buyers stepping in. And it's a penny stock, potentially like a pump dump. I just don't like the chart. It seems like a very, very tough trade. I hope for you, I very much want it to gap fill. It's just, I like to trade easy layups. Like I'm not going to bend over backwards to try to make this one. I mean, it's a penny stock. The chart is not in your favor. The risk is close. I'll give you that. You could always risk Friday's low of 19.55. So your risk is super reasonable, and your reward. So the risk reward ratio is a great setup, but this trend is a real, like it's actually the only time it trended upward was like right when it started trading, and that was only for a couple months. Other than that, this thing is only sold off. So I'd find that to be a bit worrisome. All right, I think I am up to date. Okay. All right. AMC, kind of potentially a double bottom bounce off of 39.50. So we hit it again. Now seems like it wants to test its way back up to 40. AMC currently trading at 39.79. Low volume today. AMC's only traded 12 million and GME's traded 700,000. Very, very low volume on those guys today. Let's check out how some of these other ones are doing. ATER not moving too much. 13.12. Above 13.70 becomes pretty interesting. BBIG, a gap up, selling off. In the very short term, I would just wonder if it's going to do a quick gap fill to Friday's high of 662. Maybe just taps that and bounces from there, potentially. Is Tesla just moving? Wow, it is. What a day for Tesla. What a day for Tesla. Heads up, YouTube just kicked me off your stream and they did not show your live stream. Like, here's China's flood Bitcoin over the past years. Oh, so much. I wonder, and like you can't find it. Is that Kramer in a swamp? Shout out, Vinny. Is the rotation trade that started back in November when the Treasury yield first spiked, Dow goes up, Nasdaq goes sideways or down. Interesting. Cootery calling out SDC. Might have, like, okay, we pushed, it cooled off. This kind of might be the buyers stepping back around. Now that we did get that gap fill at 605, once it gets back up, like if it, the lower sixes, Smile Direct Club, that is SDC, if it starts pushing, that could be an interesting one. I wouldn't be too involved on STD of some like mega FTD short squeeze play, but if it shows momentum, you could ride it up for a couple dollars, I would say. But I would want to see a bit more buying on that one. Sitting with my 3-year-old daughter, she loves watching and saying big green little reds. Can you give a shout out to Kaylee? Shout out Kaylee. I hope you're having a great day, Kaylee. I love a space ape in training. Help with some DD on WKSP. Pretty pleased. I bought a couple thousand shares and I'm hoping for in terms of, I don't know, unfortunately I don't know much about their like fundamentals or their situation. From a technical perspective, I probably would have been done with the play here on the 17th on that gap fill. Maybe if it's holding at 650, you can get like a bounce and another run. Kind of a weird-ish looking cup and handle, but not really. I think it gets interesting if it gets back over 750, over 715, somewhere in this region. If you see it, the momentum start to build there. But in terms of DD, I just don't know much about it. Can I get your thoughts on how you feel the next month shapes up based on technicals? Much love. I'm not sure what stock that's referring to. But overall, like no matter what stock it is, I find it easiest for my own trading to just be able to just always playing levels of support to resistance. When one breaks, I just play the next tranche of support and resistance. At least in like more of my active trades. If you are looking for like, because I guess the way I think of it is there's various ways to trade across various different stocks. So there's certain ones that I just like long term. Like for example, earlier today we were talking about Palantir. I just buy the on weakness and I forget about it. I'm not like actively trading it. And kind of the same with crypto. I just buy it when it's weak and I forget about it. But then there's certain things that like in my futures account, if I'm looking at the SPY, the NASDAQ, or the Russell 2000, well, I'll actively trade that on various levels, whether it's like a daily level, an intraday level, a bigger time frame, a smaller time frame, and I just watch level to level, and I kind of give what the market takes me, or I take what the market gives me. I think I messed that one up. New Unusual Whales tweets. All right, what did Unusual Whales say? Twitter. All right. What did they say? The SEC has indirectly named Hood in the charge in one of the alleged profited off of Hood brokerage practicing. On February 18th, 2021, the U.S. House of Representatives Financial Services Committee held a hearing related to the market volatility events in January 2021, primarily related to certain meme stocks. At the hearing, the CEO of a broker-dealer B testified and noted that broker-dealer B, I'm assuming Hood, pioneered commission-free and zero contract fee options trading. GU watched all of the part of the hearing. Consequently, GU understood that broker-dealer B did not pass along to its customers and take fees charged by exchanges. Interesting. I want to dive more into this. I'll dive more into whatever this new charge is over in between the break of the two episodes today. I think that could be fun to talk about. Ridiculous. Broker-dealer B is a retail broker headquartered in Menlo Park, California. Broker-dealer B sends its orders to wholesale. All right, we know that. We're clearly referring to... Yeah, they clearly were talking about Robinhood. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. SEC charged individuals for wash trading scheme involving options. So it sounds like maybe... It sounds like one of the two could potentially be Robinhood. I'm saying potential, like I need to dive into it. It sounds like this is breaking news, like as we're talking right now. Wow. Whoa there, brother. Yeah, this seems like something fun to really dive into. I wonder if one of the two is. Wow. I just don't see a point in being in Robinhood. It's just too much risk. It's a risk that is so easy to mitigate right now. So comically easy to mitigate by just not dealing with them. You can be like, all right, I'm done. Like, I don't know. From like a moral standpoint and just like a risk reward management standpoint, I just don't see the point of it. Long on MMT, but just moved some call option profits MMAT to AMC. Amy and Jimmy and MMAT are my best friends. Shout out Trey Subway Cup. Tilray might be bust in Germany. Elections mean big marinara. Shout out Bigness. You should know Matt's the real deal because he's not selling you signals, playing musical chairs with the bag. You can look at RWLK, time to cash puts, and UCO, and then you expect a pullback. All right, let's check this out. So Russell's still pushing, just so everyone knows. NASDAQ looking a little heavy, but the SPY looking the heaviest, which makes sense because I just bought some SPY. So, like, of course, it has to go against me. Like, that's just how the market works. RWLK, not much of an intraday trend or anything like that. Ooh, interesting. So it shoots up. This is a messy chart. So it shoots up. So now you have this... double gap situations can get interesting. $1.97 or $1.33. I don't know. It's so tough to read this. I just don't know because it could gap fill up. It could gap fill down. This one seems like a very difficult trade. And if I'm like, wow, that looks like a tough trade, I probably just won't trade it. What else do we have? I think there was another one. UCO. Time to cash in those puts. So if you have RWLK puts, I mean, it seems like luck is about to get involved in this play because like whatever, it could keep selling off tomorrow and you're like, man, I wish I held it. Or what if it gaps fills and you start to see your profit like disappear into the ether? Whenever I'm in profit and I'm like, I don't know what to do, I try to just be like, okay, this is unreasonable. Let's just lock in the profit and call it a day, type of a deal. And what was the other one? UCO. Crude oil. Okay, this is crude or oil itself is just ripping. So UCO, and that's probably why things like CEI are also doing well because they're related to oil. So oil is just going haywire. If the stock squeezes and there are synthetic shares, how do the shares affect the price if they have 35 days to cover FTDs or do they have 3 days to cover? I think you're conflating a couple things there, but in reality, the synthetic shares directly wouldn't because it's more of the naked shorting that created synthetic shares. So we care about the overall net position of shorts, legal and illegal, because all those shorts are the ones who still have to cover. So I wouldn't be looking at like the synthetic number. I just want to know between the legal and illegal shorts, how many shorts are out there, because in the event that we start to go up, that's a lot of buying that has to happen in the most like rudimentary form. FYI, I can't super chat unless I do it on desktop, which I'm hardly ever on, and I must use odd numbers and no even dollar amounts. Stupid YouTube makes no sense. If you ever find out why, please let me know. That sounds crazy. All right, Trey's Subway Cup. I have to look into that. Sometimes they just have some problems over there. That is bonkers. That is absolutely bonkers. The other tough part about leaving Robinhood is that their platform is easy to use. I 100% understand that, especially if you're just used to it. I get that. Like if you're trading online, you're like, wait, I already know how to do everything here. I even noticed it myself in January when I was on Robinhood. I had that as an account, and then with everyone thinking, I was like, oh, I'll try out Webull. And at first, I found it very difficult to get used to. I was like, I don't like this. Like it's not as easy. But Nikki, it's also like, I think if you give it like a week, you're going to then once again just feel comfortable. You'll be like, oh, okay, like I got it. Whenever you have to learn like a new platform, it's kind of a pain just to get like, I don't know, to have a better understanding and to feel more comfortable with it. And I'm right there with you, but it's one of those things that I think it just is going to take a little bit of time. I think the learning curve, you'll get over it more rapidly than you'd imagine. I really do. But I think it's worth it because I don't know. I just see, and maybe I'm being a bit pessimistic because I actively don't like them, but I just see Robinhood going downhill. Time to postpone the apes together strong document. Shit just got interesting. I mean, with it, like they still have a lot of time. Like I think a lot of this is they're like apes together strong. They're like actively filming it right now and creating it right now. So as this stuff happens, it's going to be in it. They're like, this is like an ongoing thing. Shout out Cootery. FAMI on threshold list, does that matter being a penny stock? I mean, it makes it a more interesting short squeeze play, but it breaks one of my rules. I just try to not trade penny stocks. Hey, Mark, longtime listener, everyday super chatter. Do you know how I can hide my WIFE position? I tried to go short, but they want 50% of my holdings. You might want to call up a market maker for that one. Maybe they can teach you some tricks of the trade to hide stuff. Tricks of the trade. My theory on ATR 8 million shares borrowed but not shorted is they were borrowed to address FTDs, make them de facto short, even if they did not appear such, that still need to be bought back. Well, they only have to be bought back if they go legitimately short. Like you could borrow as many shares as you want and then return them, like just borrow and return. And you could do that as long as you have like, you're paying the cost to borrow fee. But if you're not actually going short, like there's no influence on the price. Like that does not add to the short interest. It might bloat the estimation, but just so everyone knows, when you loan out shares and you take that loan or all that, no impact on price. You have to go legitimately short, and once you go legitimately short, eventually you're going to have to cover, and both of those actions have an impact on price. But just the act alone of loaning out shares and then returning those shares, no price impact. I see what you're saying about the FTD thing, and it's a possible theory for sure. I don't know if there's a way that we could like definitively show it until like we're way past the fact, or potentially ever, depending on like, I guess, how nefarious the various things are. It's a viable theory though. We'll say that. You can satisfy FTDs with loan shares. Well, yeah, this is what we were talking about before. If there's an FTD because of a naked short, that's how you satisfy it, is by getting the shares. But once again, you getting those shares after the fact no longer has an impact on the price, because the impact on the price was the person going short and selling. You just locating shares, that's not buying or selling. It's properly locating shares, doing exactly what it should have been done in the first place. Remember, there's a big difference between actually loaning and actually shorting. Loaning is the process that should take place properly before a legal, legitimate short. But for depending, there are various types of FTDs, and if we're talking about a naked short type of FTD, yeah, that's how you satisfy it, is by like actually getting the shares, by tracking them down. You can generate FTDs from naked calls too that get executed, but shares are not located. Well, a naked call would just be you sold a call and you didn't have the underlying stock, and now you have to deliver on that. Like you didn't have the asset that is required. That's another. There are many types of FTDs. Naked shorts are not the only type of FTD. So when we see the spike in FTD, you can't assume they're all naked shorts. To my understanding, they're, from a statistical standpoint, they are kind of like the higher amount of like the more probable ones. But there are many ways that FTDs can be created. that like some of them in no way even relate to shorting like whatsoever. Someone just says, I'm not wearing shorts. Oh, folks. Okay. It is past 11. So here's the plan on the day. Kind of the markets are looking good. We have a mixed bag. AMC and GME, they're kind of gearing up right now. They're looking strong. AMC looks like it wants to retake 40. GME is pushing above 190 at this. Maybe a little hiccup at 195, but mainly watching 200. And for AMC, I mean, 40, what is the intraday high? 40.63, but my eyes are kind of on 41.50, and after 41.50, I'm watching 44.20 for that official gap fill sooner rather than later. In the overall market, hang on, so we have the SPY right here. It shot up, took a breather, fighting back. I'm watching 444 flat. Taking a look at the Qs. The Qs are pushing. The Qs just hit a new intraday high at 371, so that's strong. And then IWM slowly but surely just going upward. So we see major indices going up. We see AMC and GME now catching bid. So, hey, that's awesome. That's awesome. That's awesome. That's awesome. Here's the dealio. I will be back this afternoon for the normal afternoon episode. The latest I'll start is 2 p.m. If something crazy happens, I'll look for me to start earlier. But kind of the new schedule now is 9 to 11, 9 to 12, depending on like what is or isn't happening. And then in the afternoon, kind of that 2 to 4 thing. So I will be streaming once again today. I know sometimes YouTube is making it difficult to find it. I guess I could get better about tweeting it out. But just so you know, like if you're subscribed to the channel and there's like a bell icon, you should click on it and switch it to always, and you should get a notification of when like the video is going live or something along, either when I first post it or when I go live. But thanks for all the support this morning. I will be back later today. Hey, let's see what kind of day we can have to really kick off the week, but kind of looks like we have a nice amount of bullish, apish potential for the remainder of the day. So let's see like what we can really make of it. But overall, thank you for the support. I will catch you in a couple hours. And for me and Chair, best of luck in the markets.